Hello, welcome to part 6 of Return of the Chevelle series videos I've been doing. It's been a little time since the last video number 5. In that video, if you haven't seen it, I do the completely redo the rear suspension on the car, upgrade it to some boxed control arms, which is a big upgrade, shocks, springs. I redo all of that in the rear. I also upgrade the electrical fans because they were going out and not working, so I put some new electrical fans on, which were, the old one's probably 20 years old. And then I upgraded the seat belts to 3-point harnesses, which is really just kind of a standard thing for cars nowadays. So it just really made the car a lot safer. So I'm going to go over what I did between that video and now. It's May of 2023 now. And so I've done a lot more upgrades since then. I've changed the wheels. I've put some new gauges in, added an auxiliary fuse block, and just kind of removed a whole bunch of extra wires from a bunch of the old systems the car had, like the AC and the old way that it charged the car with the external regulator. So I'm going to get into that and show you everything that I've done. All right, so we're going to start off here on the outside of the car for this video, showing you the upgrades. These are the new wheels, and I did post some pictures on Facebook, and I did a little YouTube short on them. But those are new wheels. They're steel. Here's the old wheels right here. They were old center lines, and I actually found out when taking these wheels off and removed the rear tires, because I reused the rear tires. So those are the rear tires that were on the old rims. I did have to buy some new ones because these were 14-inch. So these are 14-inch off the front, and those are 15. So I got 15 by 8 all the way around. But I found out that these had some stamping dates on them from the early 80s. So these wheels were from the early 80s, and they were just leaking air too quick. I had them sealed up several times at different tire shops and different valve stems and stuff, and they never held air except like maybe one of the 4 tires. So this is the upgrade. They're steel wheels instead of the aluminum ones, so they're heavier, but I think they look really good. I painted them black and got nice center caps on them all the way around. Again, it's still the big 275s out back, but I did go with a bigger tire up front than what these other 14s were. These are 255 or 245 on them right now. So that's makes the car ride and look a lot nicer. I think it needs to be washed. But so moving on, the wiring in this car is from 1970, and so it needed some upgrades, and it had sat and things had kind of degraded. And so I upgraded and added all of this here. So it might look a little confusing, but basically this is the old starter relay I had. There is a starter relay on the starter, but most guys will add this just because that kind of cooks down near the exhaust. And so I've had this on the car for years, but I added this relay and this auxiliary fuse block that I have tried to connect everything to that I can. So what this does, this relay is triggered when the ignition is on, and so I have ignition hot on this side, so all of these come on hot with the ignition, and these over here are hot with hot all the time. And so that has really helped clean a lot of things up. And I've added some other wires. I've added these electric gauges and electric senders for the electric gauges inside, and so I'll show you that in a minute. But I've kind of just cleaned up a lot of the wiring and put it all together. And I had to get a new alternator. When I did that, I added some more ground straps to it just to kind of clean up all the signals from it. I also went through, and over here where the voltage regulator was, I went ahead and replaced the horn relay and cut out a bunch of wiring over here that was related to the AC relay and some of the other stuff, and just really kind of got rid of a lot of stuff over here that was just not being used. And so that is that's kind of the extent of the electrical that I've done under the hood here. I did stop driving this probably a couple of weeks ago because I noticed that the carburetor here started actually just leaking. And so if you'll remember, if you haven't gone back, you can watch. I think it was the second video that I did. I actually took this carburetor apart and rebuilt it. I really just took it apart, cleaned it out, and a lot of the gaskets were like torn, and I didn't expect it to actually go back together and not leak. But it actually ran for about 2 years without having any leaks. It just started developing this about a month ago, it looks like. And so I've got a rebuild kit planned for it. I've actually already got it. That's going to be in a future video. But I haven't really driven it. I've started up and run it a little bit, but I haven't driven it much. Just, I don't want it to actually cause a big leak and then cause a fire. So that's kind of it for under the hood here. Again, I've got a rebuild kit for that, and I've got some other little upgrades and kind of maintenance items to do, but that'll be in a future video. Okay, so now I'm inside the car, and I'm gonna go through some of the upgrades that I've done in the car here, just make it more drivable and just a little more comfortable to drive. And so start off with this panel. And so I made this panel, and if you can tell, I recessed the gauges in it and then added this radio. So this is just a cheap radio from Walmart. I think this and a couple of speakers was like $25. And these are not top-end gauges. These are just kind of stuff you can find at AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly's. But the water and oil previously were mechanical gauges. And now, as I talked about earlier in the video, I changed them out to electrical senders, and they work with these electrical gauges. So it's a lot nicer. And then doing all of the additional wiring with the auxiliary fuse block up front, it really cleaned up the signal that I was getting from the voltmeter and all the gauges, because you turn on the lights and you'd see everything kind of dim, and you do the blinkers and you could watch the voltmeter just kind of tick with the blinker. And so I just kind of cleaned up everything by running more wires straight out to the fuse panel out there. And the fuse panel that's under here, it's all rusty and nasty, and so I'm trying not to put anything to that. I also changed out in the dash here. It's sunny, so you won't be able to see, but in the dash here, I changed out all the little lights that are in here to LEDs, and so that made that panel a lot brighter at night, which really makes it really easy driving to see, your speed, and I can see the fuel gauge better. But it really did make this much more comfortable to drive. I also added, let's see if we'll be able to see it here, these speakers back here. I made these little wood inserts, and then I screwed the speakers to it. They're just 6 1/4, 6.5 inch speakers. So it's not great sound, but it is, it makes it where you can listen to some tunes going down the road. I also had to make some, underneath the dash here, I had to make some custom metal brackets to hold the speakers up there because I didn't have any. I didn't want to order any. And so I've got 4 speakers in it. It doesn't, it's not crazy good sound, but it's enough where you can listen to the radio and have a good time. So I've got some upgrades planned for it, like I spoke about earlier. I've got some cosmetic things for the engine. I've also got some maintenance items for the engine that I'm going to do, and yeah, that'll be coming up in a future video. But I just wanted to do another video, give an update, because it's been, like I said, since December of 2021 since I have made a video for this, and so I just wanted to kind of get that out there, because I know some people watch it and some people enjoy it. But I have been driving it around a lot. I drive it as much as I can, again, except for since the carburetor started leaking. There'd be days where I drive it, there'd be weeks rather, where I drive it 4 out of 5 days everywhere I went. It's just fun, and it's great because people talk to you and people look at you and tell you stories about how one of their relatives had one, or they just want to ask you and talk to you about the car. So it really is kind of a talking point with people, and it's really cool to kind of the community develop with people, and you can talk with people and relate to them. So anyways, it's really fun, and I enjoy it. And yeah, see you in a new video coming up soon.